Good morning, guys. This is Rob at Chanella's Life. This morning I thought I'd do kind of a useful video for people that are interested in getting my firsthand experience with travel into the Philippines, the requirement for Onward tickets, visa on arrival, and Balikbayan Privilege. So let's get into it. So my situation in the Philippines is this. I've been living here for about 2 years. I'm married to a Filipina. My wife is a U.S. citizen, and just last year she reacquired her Filipino citizenship. But prior to that, she was Balikbayan by nature of her being born in the Philippines. And then my son was born in the U.S., was U.S. citizenship, and then acquired Filipino citizenship. So they've always been good to go for entry. But whenever I enter the Philippines, I'm either entering on a tourist visa if I'm traveling alone, or I avail of the Balikbayan privilege if I'm entering the country with my wife. So I'm going to kind of talk about both those instances and share my real world experience. So I have to travel about 4 or 5 times a year for work. So I'll leave the country. I don't think it's ever been an issue for me to have an exit clearance because I travel enough to where it's never been a requirement. So I'll go to various parts of the world. Over the past year, I've traveled to Belgium, Ireland, U.S. by way of Dallas, entering Dallas. Where else did I go? Now we did Bali, Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, traveling together on visa runs. So now when I travel alone for work, when I'm coming back, I enter on a tourist visa. So let's take a look at what the tourist visa requirements are. So here you can go to evisa.gov.ph, and it will outline the non-immigrant visa requirements. So they have a number of classifications: business, tourism, medical treatment, filmmaking, journalism, and all of these visas, every one of them are going to require an onward ticket, or what they call tickets or flight reservations for entry and exit. So that's their requirement. Now, what happens practically with that onward ticket requirement is they put the onus of the reservations agent or the ticketing agent check-in at the airport to verify that requirement. I've never had anyone in immigration on arrival at Manila ask me for any type of onward ticket. It's never happened. And also, with all my travel, I've never been asked for an onward ticket to get my boarding pass and to board a plane and fly to the Philippines, with the exception of one time. So for a long time, I didn't bother with worrying about my outbound itinerary. I'd come back to the Philippines, I'd enter, and then just buy my next ticket as needed. But just a couple of months ago, I traveled to Milan, and then I exited Milan. I had a flight going from Milan to Taipei to Manila, and then it was on EVA Airlines. So now EVA Airlines in Milan were very accurate with regards to the requirement. They asked me about e-travel. I said, yeah, I'll take care of that before I get there. Don't worry about it. And then they did ask me to see my outbound travel from Manila. To be honest, I argued with them. I happened to have a reservation already made for travel to Singapore. We just went last weekend. But I was just kind of like pushing back, saying, I got a flight, don't worry about it, or, I'll travel with my wife's there, I'll travel at a later date. They were not going to budge. They wanted to see that outbound travel. Luckily, I just happened to make that reservation when I was in Italy, because I wanted to get cheap tickets going to Singapore. I looked them up, I went ahead and booked the flight, and I just showed them an Expedia email that confirmed my reservation for a flight to Singapore, and all was good. But my point there is, for the longest time, normally I would not have done that. It was just kind of dumb luck that I did. So in that case, I probably would have jumped out of line and gone to onwardticket.com or whatever and bought one of those Onward tickets. I used to do that when I first came to the Philippines and I would travel somewhere. I think I did it a couple of times, and no one ever asked for it. So I got kind of tired of wasting the money, and I didn't buy them anymore. So that's my experience. Probably 90% of the time, I've never been asked for an Onward ticket. But in Europe, at the airport in Milan, they asked me and they were super strict about it. So keep that in mind. I'm not giving you advice one way or the other. I think what I'll do next time, if I don't happen to have an itinerary, I'll probably argue with them again and then maybe buy an Onward ticket from one of these online Onward ticket places and give that a go. So that's kind of my experience with Onward tickets. So the next thing I want to talk about is the Balikbayan Privilege. Okay, let's take a look at the Balikbayan program. So you're going to find this information mostly on embassy and consulate websites. So the one I'm on here this is Germany, and it's a pretty good write-up because there is some variation there, mostly in just verbiage. The requirements don't really vary, but this one was most clear, so I thought I'd jump in here. The Balikbayan program is for Philippine citizens who have been out of the country for a period of at least 1 year, OFWs, Filipino Overseas Workers, and then former Filipino citizens who have been naturalized in one of the listed countries. So generally, if you're married to a Filipino citizen, that's going to be the qualifier. And then if you read down here, accompanying foreign spouse and children may avail, provided they are listed citizens of the listed countries and, bold, traveling with the former Filipino Balikbayan. So you can scroll down here and there's just a ton of countries. You'll need to check yours and ensure that your country is listed. So there's always a lot of Facebook posts about, well, I can get it without traveling with my wife. I have tried that. I mean, I've traveled in and out of the Philippines without my wife, married to her many, many times. I have never had that work. But there's guys on Facebook that swear up and down that they pulled it off. When I go through immigration in the Philippines, they know my status. They see my history. They understand that I'm married to a Filipino. They ask me, is your wife traveling with you? And I'm like, no, she's not, but I happily accept Balikbayan privilege. And then they just smile and say, no, it's not available to you. So I'm not sure I believe those guys. My firsthand experience doesn't substantiate that. But if you're traveling with your wife, it's a great program, and it's pretty cool that you can take advantage of that. Another question that will come up is whether or not you need the Onward ticket for the Balikbayan privilege. And the answer to that is no. If you go here to the Philippine Embassy DC and look at their bulletin for the Balikbayan program, you'll see that Balikbayan program, former Filipino citizens and Filipino-American dual citizens are not required to provide return Onward tickets when entering the Philippines, as well as their immediate family members that are allowed 30-day visa under Executive Order 408 may enter without for a period of 1 year, provided they have the following. So these are the requirements: passport valid for 6 months beyond the intended stay, proof of foreign citizenship, dual citizenship identification certificate, proof of affiliation of immediate family members traveling with the Balikbayan. So for that means for kids to enter or the husband to enter, they're going to expect to see a marriage certificate or the birth certificate proving that family relationship. So again, I see that come up a lot. I've never had the instance where I've tried to check in for a flight with my wife and had the airline bring up the issue of Onward ticket when we plan on coming in and availing of the Balikbayan Privilege. Now, my travel with my wife has been predominantly from ports of entry like Los Angeles and San Francisco, and those people know what's up. They understand the Filipino travel experience, understand Balikbayan program. But if I were with my wife in, say, Milan, and we were trying to board a flight and get back to Manila, I'm not sure that they would understand this, and it could be a problem. So there you go. That's kind of my firsthand experience with Onward tickets, travel in and out of Manila, and using the Balikbayan privilege when entering with my wife. Nothing too dramatic, but I just thought I'd do a quick video and kind of share it, some firsthand information, what I've been going through the past couple of years. Immigration's always been pretty good for me. I've never really had any issues. So if you're married to a Filipina, avail of Balikbayan when you can. If you're having to do visa runs, be aware of the Onward ticket requirement and how that might crop up to impact your check-in and return to Manila. And safe travels out there for you expats dealing with those issues. Thanks for watching.